Before this video starts, I would like to give a shout out to a person named Target. They were the original creators of this concept that they made years before I even thought of it. And yeah, so just wanted to give a shout out to them real quick and on to the main event. Now, I decided to make an enclosure, more specifically a park, based on the yin-yang symbol. So basically the concept of this is enclosures that are shaped like the yin-yang symbol, which is just a bunch of circles. Basically. Right now I'm just making the big yin-yang enclosure. Well, technically it's two enclosures, but they both form the yin-yang symbol. One of them being the yin, the other being the yang. And right now I'm just adding more concrete walls to ensure that the outside of the enclosure is even with to form the perfect circle, you know? Because it'd be weird if the yin-yang symbol was a triangle, am I right? But yeah, what I would house in here would be some stegosaurids and velociraptors. And now those plans did shift a little bit, but the main purpose was still there. So we're just gonna move on to the extra step of this. Alright, right here I just fleshed it out a little bit, took off some of the guidelines so I could get to the extreme work on making this yin-yang symbol. Here I'm just forming some of the circles, the smaller circles of the yin-yang symbol. And here I'm just trying to, what's the word I'm looking for here? I'm basically fleshing out more of it so I can form the circles. But well, I mean, yeah, obviously. Basically, I'm scrapping more of the guidelines so I can get more accurate angles to form the yin-yang symbol. And right here, I should be finishing up the build with the second part of the yin-yang symbol, and we move on to the interior design of these enclosures, which is basically we're going to put waters on both sides. Both of these circles would represent the lakes as to where the dinosaurs would drink out of. It's a it's very genius on my part, I will say. After that, we are going to form some of these smaller enclosures for the other dinosaurs. Now, I say other dinosaurs because I exclusively did dinosaurs whose fossils were found in China. So Velociraptor, Dilophosaurus, so I have to house Velociraptor and Dilophosaurus separate from each other. And this enclosure right here would soon be the Dilophosaurus enclosure. So this next one was another enclosure, but I was unsure on what to do with it because of one particular dinosaur that I was worried about. And that was the Mamenchisaurus. Now, the Mamenchisaurus is a sauropod, so I was concerned about making an extra enclosure, which did happen. But right here, this would have been the Sinoceratops and Centaurosaurus enclosure, but later became the Centaurosaurus enclosure because despite me trying to make a big enough closure for the Mamenchisaurus, this is the enclosure here, they still weren't appeased by it. So I had to cram them in with the Stegosaurids, which is the, you know, the giant yin-yang symbol in the middle of the park that is supposed to house two separate dinosaurs. Well, herbivores and carnivores, but, you know, two separate dinosaurs. So aside from Sinoceratops and Centaurosaurus, we also have Huayangosaurus, Chunkingosaurus, and Gigantospinosaurus, which I had not recently used in any of my other enclosures. And yeah, right now I'm just scoping out the extra parts of the enclosure, like the pond and the forest. Still trying to go with that yin-yang aesthetic. Okay, and here you can see I am putting up the viewing galleries for all of the enclosures, and to also ensure that they all have power, so that way nobody's seeing the dinosaurs blind. And here I'm just putting up some more. I'm basically decorating a place with buildings, you know, hotels, arcades, toy stores, um, along with restaurants, fast food places, bowling alleys, the usual stuff. I was struggling a little bit because I was also trying to redecorate the enclosures and also ensure that there was power going to each and every building. So some of this was not just me scrolling through and trying to find the perfect spot for some of the buildings, but it was also me readjusting some of the power stations and basically just trying to ensure that the park looks authentic enough as to where it looks like a park. Because obviously this is Sandbox, so yeah, wanted to ensure that it would look authentic. And right here I'm struggling trying to find a place for the monorail station. Thankfully I did find one, thankfully. But yeah, as far as I'm concerned, I was still trying to ensure that the park looked authentic enough to be a park, despite the fact that there's only a handful of species in this park, because they're all of their bones are from China, and there's a very few selected amount of dinosaurs whose fossils originated from China. So a little unfortunate, but it works. It works in this case. It works. And right here I'm just putting out an extra power station to accompany the buildings for more power. And yeah, so this build, actually, now that I must get onto that subject, this build took me, I want to say, an hour or two, or maybe 3. Well, we're going to say 3 hours maybe, of me putting down buildings, building these circular enclosures to house the different types of dinosaurs, and just trying to see what works and what doesn't, because obviously I've never had this much creative freedom with a park, so this was definitely an interesting build to do, and it was definitely a passion project of mine that I had for a very, very long time, but I wanted to finish the game before I decided to work on this project, because I wanted to get every dinosaur, make sure all of them have 100% genome, make sure I have all the buildings, and assure myself that I have 5 stars on everything, so that way it doesn't feel like something's missing. So it can still look authentic and not look like I'm still trying to complete the game, when in reality I've already finished the game. You know what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying? But yeah, this was a very interesting build to do. I really enjoyed building it because this was a long time coming. And yeah, this should be finishing up. After this, I would be summoning in the dinosaurs, and yeah, the rest would just be cruising around a park. So enjoy the rest of it.